Thank you. Thank you. Hard to follow that presentation, so I'm going to bring you into the side of logistics. So just a little bit of background about myself. So I took over the role of CEO for Neovia just October last year. Before that, I was CEO of DB Schenker Americas, and that's when I met Andre and the team here in the UK. Really, loved the product, I loved the solution, and so that's how I got involved and how I got invited to today. So, but now I'm in Neovia, and looking forward to going through what I have for you today. I'm going to talk a lot about some of the new technologies that are out there, the smaller, the new startups, companies that didn't exist a good few years ago that we're now kind of embracing and bringing into our business. So, great. I'm just off a flight from the US. I'm on my third or fourth espresso. So, if I'm twitchy, that's the excuse, okay? But Neovia, how many competitors have I got in the room? 3PLs, if you could just put your hand up. Okay, plenty, all right. So the competitive secrets and all that kind of stuff, I've kept them off. But Neovia, we started off as an OEM. So we were part of Caterpillar and then spun off. And so our background is an OEM, very much engineering focused. So I've only got a couple of slides on Neovia, and then I get into the meat of the presentation. My background, when I started off as an engineer in the Netherlands, very much in terms of focusing on engineering and really improving and how can we use technology. But for Neovia, mid-size, mid-tier company in terms of about 750 million in revenue, so not the big powerhouses that you're all aware of, but really focusing on contract logistics inside the warehouse, excellent operations. Service parts, a lot of the service parts. So if you've got a car part that your car breaks, that mission critical, that time critical, that component, comes from us in a lot of different areas. We do a lot of inventory optimization and inventory planning, so using technology to help our customers plan their inventory, position it in the right warehouses at the right time, at the right fill rates to meet those needs. So we're using a lot of data and a lot of insights, a lot of demand and forecasting to make sure that we have that part in that right warehouse at the right time. Flexibility and scalability. We're going to talk a little bit about that as well in terms of, I think anybody that's been in the 3PL industry over the last number of years have, flexibility, adaptability, and agility has been, just the words there that have been always there in terms of the challenges that we've all faced. That's the facts in terms of our data, about 8,000 employees, so that's Neovia. So I'm going to really talk about some of the disruptions, and they're ongoing today, and we see them today. I think the word polycrisis came up in Davos last year, where you got a lot of different challenges going on. Geopolitical crisis, you got, obviously the terrible, unfortunate atrocities going on with the wars around in certain parts of the globe. Cybersecurity, climate change, resource scarcity was a major challenge during COVID. All of those elements, happening concurrently, give us a polycrisis. If you look at it now, you've got, I think we've got some people here from the ocean lines, the maritime crises with the Red Sea, that you had the Suez Canal with the water levels dropping, even in the Amazon, water levels dropping there that are impacting, the flow of goods from Manaus out to the ports. A lot of issues happening on the maritime side. If you look at the global freight, 99% of the world's freight flows in the ocean. So if there's a disruption in that, there isn't enough air freight capacity to actually completely offset that. So the maritime routes are a major issue. You had the port congestions, obviously the air freight disruptions during COVID. When you look at it, 50% of the air traffic was on passenger traffic, and when that capacity was gone, you had a major impact. We've got the geopolitical issues, which just seem to be, growing and growing. and we had the pandemic, I think fragility within the networks. In the US, we had incredible driver shortage, not as much anymore. You're seeing capacity coming back, and then the hyperinflation that was going on. In the US market, during the crisis there, the wage rates were going up for the hourly operator on a quarterly basis. We'd put up the rate, next thing our neighbor would put up the rate per hour, so the challenge and the war on talent was very much real, in our industry. So how do we combat those? What do we do to actually, really, come up with solutions that avoid that? We can't solve them all, but that's one thing we're looking at. And then there's the whole overall environmental impact that we've got to, watch, and how do we be more environmentally sustainable in our industry? So what can companies do to really tackle these? We all spend time with our customers, our shippers. Business continuity plans are incredibly important. They're not a book that you leave on the shelf, and you got to do it as part of your, regulatory, compliance for your customers. They are real. You need to use them, and resiliency planning is absolutely important. Identifying blind spots within your operation, building resilience into your organization, organizational alignment, and that's going to be very, very important to making sure you're all working on the same goals. That may mean, I'll miss my goals and my targets, but overall aligning the organization to make sure we're all achieving that goal. Dual and multi-sourcing. I think, if you look at the automotive OEMs, they sourced chips. That was their, they looked at one tier below, but they didn't really understand the impact, 2 or 3 levels, or the tier 1s, the tier 2, the tier 3s within the supply base. They didn't have a great impact or great understanding. They do now. They certainly do now, and they're building that resilience within the supply chain to make sure that. And looking at suppliers, yes, in the 3PL space, we want to, have all of our customers' business. That's what we're about, competition. But we know we're not going to have that. There is going to be competition in the 3PL space. It's a fierce. We're operating on razor-thin margins. That's the sob story. We all do that. We're all doing that. But that's the competitive landscape we're in, and we need to make sure that we can be very, very competitive in doing that. And then embracing technology, and that's what we're going to spend most of the time talking about. Is how do we embrace technology to really, tackle these areas. We can look at it at a macro level, but I'm going to really focus on the warehouse, inside the 4 walls, and how do we tackle that. So some fantastic new technology companies that are out there. Obviously, Dexory here today, and super event. Protex AI, we got Dan here, who we're working with, super technology, Allen Park Labs, and A-Things. Just an example of some new technology that's out there. You obviously got the legacy automation, big companies, big integrators. But this is what I'm excited about. These new entrants into the market that are helping us to be more competitive, to be more resilient, and tackle some of the disruptions that we're seeing in our industry. Obviously, Dexory. When I look at a warehouse, value is, we receive product, we put it away, we store it, we pick it, we'll add value to it, we'll ship it, all that, all that very, very good stuff. But the inventory control and making sure that the product is there, that we've optimized the warehouse, that we've designed it, we've created the layout. We need to make sure that's all there. But cycle counting, PIs, kind of a non-value add. It needs to be there, but making sure that we have our products. So when I look at where do I want to get the resources? We're in the people industry. We're automating as much as we can, but we're still very much a people business in our warehouses. So the technology that Andre and the team is super. I love the way that we can, count like 100,000 square feet in an hour. Obviously, that type of work and doing it while the operation is going is so important. Yeah. Normally, cycle counters or PIs done when we shut down the operation or at nighttime, or in that off-peak. But we can do this now throughout the site, throughout the day, and that's actually really, really vital. If I look at some of our warehouses around the globe, and and being in 30 years in the industry, I saw great applications for Andre and his product, and not just within this, but there's, I'm very, very excited for where they're going to take it. We saw drones flying through the warehouse. There's challenges with that product, but there's a space for everybody. But this is one where, when I met the team, went through the manufacturing process, I was incredibly excited about it. The data capture, obviously great from pallet positions, optimization, empty locations, all that kind of stuff, super within the warehouses, and that's key to what we're doing. Live, from Rob earlier, we talked about real-time information, optimizing our empty locations and driving that. That's key. So they're super applications within that, within the solution. Protex AI, safety within our operations. I'm very, that's number one for everybody. I think we all start of our sites with a safety moment to make sure that we send home people the same way they came into work. And Protex AI, is technology that's sitting on your CCTV. All of our warehouses have all the cameras. We all know that, and we're sitting that technology behind it and watching what our operations are doing. And Dan and the team have had great success in really driving down any workplace incidents. And me, I've had my kids working in our warehouses, so I want them coming home and making sure that we have safe operations. And Marks and Spencer's here, they've seen a reduction in the workplace incidents as a direct result of Dan and his technology. I don't know if our videos work. I was hoping they would, but they did. But just to give you an idea, so it sits, the technology sits behind the CCTV. We can watch and see where the machines are, the MHE and the worker. And if there's any near collisions or near misses, we're automatically seeing that data. So we're not relying on somebody manually producing near misses or lost time incidents. That is automatically captured and produced and pushed back to the operators, to the managers, and that. The next phase of this will be, where can I see efficiencies? Where can I see efficiency improvements? So, our warehouses around the globe, everybody, not just our warehouses, but everybody's warehouses, fast moving, a lot of moving product, a lot of reach trucks, a lot of MHE. Number one kind of incidence there is MHE. So you're seeing that. I don't know if it's you're trying to get the videos going. I hope the next ones work because, but yeah, that's the technology that Dan and the team have built, that we can see that information real time and produce it. The next phase is, looking at where operators are working within the warehouse, what sort of times, how long, what dwell time are they spending, on a particular task. How can we drive more efficiency there? So I, love the idea of the Protex AI within that, within the warehouse operations. The next one was 8 Things. I met 8 Things a number of years ago in my DB Schenker days to really try to look at a higher level on some of the freight movements and how can we increase visibility within the traffic for our customers and really drive down freight spend and get more predictability for them. And these tools, it sits there, so we're constantly looking at where's the best location for a warehouse, what's the optimum size for a warehouse, and what's the best transportation routes out of those warehouses, into and out of them. So we use 8 Things for that, supply chain optimization. And that's real-time information, real-time analytics, and creating a virtual control tower. So you've heard of control towers within the operations, physical control towers where you've got, freight forwarders, carriers, looking at the freight. But now we can actually bring that information to the customers, to the shippers, to do their own analysis. And when we saw the Red Sea crisis a couple of weeks ago, just capturing that information of where our customers' orders were within the ocean traffic, so that they could see and give more predictability to their customers of when their orders are coming. So Things was a new technology, again, not a company that was well established years ago, but using AI, using predictable tools to increase that forecast accuracy. And anyone that's been in the 3PL space, forecast accuracy is so critical, and we see, we're not at the 95% at all, we're more at the probably 60, 70% depending on the customer. But with things, we're able to improve that forecast accuracy for our customers, and we're using that today on an ongoing basis to help optimize the freight lanes for inbound and for outbound to really drive down that expedited freight costs for our customers. So really it's a true digital control tower without having all of those people there looking and manually tracking and of where product is within the supply chain. Looking at the demand, the supply, the inventory, the networking, and then the optimization. If you look at it, pre-pandemic levels, we were all into just-in-time inventory levels, really optimized, very low. Then we had the pandemic, and you had those that didn't have inventory failed, so you kind of shifted to just-in-case inventory levels. Are we back to just-in-time? We're probably not. I think we're still at just-in-case with a little bit more in terms of inventory levels within our warehouses. We saw a big explosion of warehouse space, certainly within the US market, really tight constraints in terms of where you could get space, as well as labor with space and drivers. They were kind of the problems we all faced during, over the past number of years. Warehouse space is kind of relaxing a little bit, but where is it? Is it in the right locations? And we're using these types of tools to predict that and get it into the right locations. These kind of this tools and these insights that our customers are using is really driving down that inventory levels. The other thing is, because we're not back to the just-in-time levels, interest rates are making sure that customers are keeping their inventory levels at a very optimum level, and that's the other part of the financial piece within it. Within the other area, another technology is virtual reality, mixed reality, AR. Is that applicable in our industry? I see it very much so. It's here you'll see examples within manufacturing, within training, within healthcare. But now now that the data is there and available, we see that we can use that to bring it into the warehousing. If I can use virtual reality to train a warehouse operator to drive a reach truck before they get on the shop floor, that's a better example. I've seen examples of where you bring somebody in, no experience, you put them through training, and they still think that they can, unfortunately, stop a reach truck with their foot and put it out. And now you have somebody who's lost a limb below the knee. Those types of things, unfortunately, they have happened. With this type of technology, we can really put somebody through a virtual reality training, test them, monitor them, make sure they've followed all the steps through, and have they passed before I put them in a reach truck and do that. I could even put a sock on their leg to simulate the pain so that they'll never do that again. But that's the type of technology that we can really get into. But that's the next step and the evolution of, we've been using some of that VR training within our operations so that we can actually improve and enhance the quality of the operators before they get into a reach truck. Let me just show you a video here. This one was using technology in the healthcare to simulate a traumatic brain injury, and also for Parkinson's patients. Here you're looking at, how do you analyze and design the assembly operations. If you want to, buy or select a car, nothing like Formula One, but I can, immerse myself into the vehicle and, see if I want to buy it. I could also use my phone and put it in the driveway or in my garage or anything like that and say, here's one where you're working at heights. But every single step that happens within this process, I can monitor the time, monitor the accuracy, monitor the performance, and make sure that person is doing it correctly, right time, every time. And that's where we see the importance of the data and the technology coming through. And also making sure that people operate safely. And that example of that warehouse operator driving a reach truck and doing that in a safe way. Now, using the technology, and I think when Apple comes out with the launch of their headsets, we'll see more and more investments into the VR space there. This is not. Within Neovia, I mentioned some of the stuff we're doing around the supply chain design. Where is the location? Where's the best position for that particular distribution center? Should you have a single DC? If you look at here in Europe, should I have one in the Netherlands? Should I have one in the Far East, in the eastern part, or in the UK? All of those supply chain lines, and looking at see what is the right number of locations, what's the right size of the locations, and what is the best technology to be used. If it's exotech, if it's ASRS, what type of robotics within our operations are we doing? So they're all important to trying to, making sure we have reliable operations across the globe. And then that continuous loop around improvement. Space is still a constraint. The US hasn't got that scarcity mindset. Everything's, you've got a lot of space, but how do we maximize and optimize the cube within our operations? That's our goal. So if you look at, this is one warehouse design, it's in the UK. So we will simulate the entire warehouse before we build it, before we design it, and before we put it into operation. Not to the same extent that Rob was in terms of the Formula One, but we'll try to see and try to simulate the day in the life or the week in the life of an average day, a slow day, and a peak day. Will the capacity within a warehouse break? So you see there an auto store on the left, but all of that within those operations. What is the maximum cubic utilization we can get? So that design, that warehouse goes straight from a concept, the data from our customers, the master data. A lot of work to be done more on master data. I think that's probably one of the areas that we struggle with, and I'm sure my competitors struggle with on the master data and the quality of the data that we get from the customers. I think they struggle too. That's critically important when we're doing the design of these warehouses. So the new technologies are probably the biggest disruptors, and they create huge opportunities. AI, massive topic, but most businesses, about 60% of if you look at it, Alex Partners, it's a good report, surveyed about 3,000 CEOs around the globe. AI is such a hot topic, but about 60% of them don't know what to do with it yet. I think that will change as years come. But the key is put that digital disruption within your operations. With AI, with cybersecurity, to the cloud, that data growth piece is still, that's consuming so much that we're seeing the data center growth really explode. But being part of that change is key. So AI is here. 3PLs can't invest on their own. Leveraging technology partners is our path there and is our avenue to growth. So we want to make sure that we're working with companies like Things, like Protex AI, like OneTrack AI, like Dexory, like the team to be able to just enhance and grow and optimize our businesses. How do we be more competitive? Less people within our sites, more automation within our sites, more cubic utilization within our sites is key. And using the data and using the analytics to drive that. Cybersecurity, one of the key areas, one of those disruptive areas within the crisis was, with the increase of technology, cybersecurity is a major area. It's what keeps me awake at night as well. I know some of my competitors over the years have had, attacks, have been, severely disrupted. So that's vitally important that we keep an eye on those within our businesses. Predictive analytics, predictive, demand forecasting is important. Automated inventory management, the Dexory solution, that automated, you have your WMSs, you have all those tools, but having Dexory there on the sideline, checking and also integrating with your WMS is key. Smart warehouse robotics. Yes, we can do conveyors, automation, all that, but having some of the robots and the cobots within your warehouses is key. Supplier collaboration. You see here the autonomous truck. If I know Maersk have invested in that particular truck. What's the name of the company? Einride. Super. No cab, no driver, and really, really exciting company. Will it completely eliminate the driver? I don't think so, but it'll be very, very good on the final mile delivery. So great input there. Some other examples of technology that we've done is remote driving of reach trucks. So have the person sitting at home in their house and driving the reach truck in a warehouse in Salt Lake City, in the Netherlands, in Belgium. That kind of technology is there now. We're exploring those, we're piloting those. Dynamic routing and optimization. If you think about the environmental impact in those, our industry is one of the top 4 contributors to carbon CO2 emissions in the globe. I see dynamic routing and optimization for more environmentally friendly routes is one area that we're working on. That remote monitoring of the assets, visibility, things, really making sure we've got that exposure of the data to our customers. Quality control. Next phase I see of the likes of Protex AI or OneTrack AI is looking at loads when we've loaded the product. Can we look at the cameras and look at the record and record the quality? I was with a customer yesterday, and that's one of the areas that they're pushing us into is when you load out the product, can we see those loads being built? So they're the kind of challenges being put to us. So that quality control is going to be key. Collaborative robots, cobots within the sites, and then the augmented reality, mixed reality. Probably it was expensive. It's becoming more affordable within our operations now, and I see that as an area of growing and key. So those 10 areas within the supply chain are important to how we can really grow and embrace the technology solutions within the operations and within our sites. And our competitors, our customers are driving that. How am I doing time-wise? I had 30 minutes. So I think I'm spot on. Yeah, I'll leave it at that, because that's it.